Hey, what's up you guys, and in this tutorial I'll be showing you how to make a basic hip-hop drum beat. I'll be making a whole series of these tutorials, so hopefully by the end of this series you'll be able to kind of be an expert on making hip-hop beats. Maybe not an expert, but you'll know what to do. I'll be making genres including hip-hop, R&B, and rap. So yeah, enjoy. Oh, and by the way, if any of you don't know who I am exactly, I am a 14-year-old beat producer, and I use FL Studio 9 XXL PRODUCERS EDITION. And if you don't really have that program, I'd advise you to get it, or you might be able to follow these tutorials. I'll try to make it as general as I can, as well as being specific to the program. But if you can't follow them, just don't follow along. It's as simple as that. If you would like to see my beats, I have all of my beats that I made on my main channel. I upload about a beat a week, and I'll put that channel link in the description. And if any of you would like to make a recommendation on what I should do my next tutorial on, you can contact me. I'll put in contact link in the description as well. So let's get started. Alright, the first thing you want to do is click on the step sequencer up at the top here. My mouse is, it looks like a box with 4 smaller squares inside of it, so click on that. And this here is a pretty basic hip-hop drum pattern I put together earlier, so take a listen. That's pretty much it. I'll explain more on it later. Actually, I'll explain more on it right now. Now, I'll kind of break this down for you. Usually the most common tempos to make a beat in, there's 2 different types. You can either do it 90 beats per minute or 140. I usually do my beats in 140 beats per minute, or around there, depending on how fast or slow I want it. You can change the tempo up here where my mouse is. Anyway, I'll keep it at 140. And the reason I have it on 140 is with the step sequencer, the faster it is, the more notes you can fit in at the same time in between beats. So you can split it into actually 16th notes if you know any of the kind of scientific terms in music. There's 16th notes. Each one of these notes is represented by a 16th note, I think. And every other color that you see here, like it goes gray, red, gray, red. Every time it changes color, that represents a beat. So in hip hop, I'll switch to this pattern. In hip hop, it really consists of 2 things. The claps are on 2 and 4, and the kicks are on 1 and 3. So basically what that sounds like is this. Now this is a really boring drum pattern. I said earlier that the kicks are on beats 1 and 3 and the claps are on beats 2 and 4. But in this case, because I'm in 140 beats per minute, everything is kind of doubled, if that makes sense. In this case, the kicks are on beats 1 and 5 instead of 1 and 3, and the claps are on beats 3 and 6. If you're doing this in 90 beats per minute, or around there, you would just cut everything in half, sort of. In musical terms, it would be called cut time. But anyways, this is a really boring drum pattern, and the way to make it sound better is you can fool around with the kick pattern, you always want to keep the claps on beats 3 and 6 or 2 and 4, depending on which tempo you're in. But fool around with the drum patterns and make it sound pretty cool. In this case, I have the kicks on steps 1 and 8. Keep in mind I'm putting them on these steps 1 and 8, not the beats. I have them put on steps 1 and 8, and then 1 and 8 over here again, and then sort of a pickup right here. So take a listen. Now you don't have to do exactly that pattern in the drums, but what you should do is just take some time to fool around with the kick until you find a pattern in the steps that sounds decent, so you can just play around with it by ear. But make sure you keep the claps on beats 3 and 6. But basically that's the gist of the kicks and claps. It's really easy and really basic, and later on we'll talk more about fills and different rhythms in the claps. But for right now, let's just start adding some hi-hat parts. You don't have to add hi-hat parts, but I think it sounds a lot better just for a really basic beat. It makes it sound a lot more full. So find a hi-hat sound that you like and add it to the step sequencer. And once you have it, I sort of like this sound. It's nice and quiet and kind of clean. Anyways, right click it and click on fill each 2 steps. That makes it so the hi-hat, it hits every 2 steps. So it's kind of like hitting 8th notes on the hi-hat. So take a listen. Now you still might be thinking that the hi-hat part is pretty boring. It's still a very basic drum pattern. It's just 8th notes on the hi-hat, but the way we can spice it up is adding what I like to call fills. The way you do that, again, you should just take some time to play around with it and play around with it by ear and just add some notes and until you find something that you think sounds good. But what I like to do is on the 4th beat, make it so it switches to 16th notes. So it goes 3 beats of 8th notes and then the 4th beat of just 16th notes. So it sounds like this. And again, you don't really have to do that exact pattern. You can fool around with it. I highly advise you to do that. That's how I learned most of my stuff. I just sat inside all day and just played around with the program until I learned some stuff. But that's basically it for the main hi-hat part. But then you can add some other parts. So maybe a secondary hi-hat to sound like the hi-hat is opening or closing. So take another hi-hat sound that you like and make sure it sounds different than the first sound. Have it more hard hitting and, I don't know, kinda brighter than the first sound. So I have my hi-hat sound right here. And what I'm going to do is right click on it and click on fill each 8 steps. Another useful thing is to have it hit every other beat. So take a listen to this. Now that's pretty much it for this tutorial, but in the next tutorial I'll be talking about adding fills to the drum patterns and making it sound a lot cooler, and also making your sound a little bit better by adding some effects to it. But for the meantime, please subscribe, comment, and rate, like this video, and donate if you can, so I can keep making more videos. So thank you.